The focus of our project is on better understanding risk preparedness and risk perceptions around the world with a view to developing more effective disaster risk communication strategies for climate and weather risks. Over the last 50 years, there's been a fivefold recorded increase in weather-related disasters. These include flooding due to heavy rainfall or coastal inundation, severe heat, such as the events that we've seen in many areas of the world this summer, where we've seen unprecedented summer temperatures. They could also relate to what we might think of as second-order impacts, such as wildfires, landslides, etc. The World Meteorological Organization has estimated that these disasters have led to over 2 million lives lost, as well as over $3.5 trillion of damage. So with the change in climate being set to increase the frequency and severity of severe weather events in some areas of the world, it's really more important than ever that we develop more effective early warning communication systems and also early warning communication strategies to help members of the public to better prepare themselves and their families to respond to these severe weather risks. So our project is going to use the World Risk Poll to develop risk communication strategies to be tested in a set of countries. In our project, we're going to look at 3 rounds of the World Risk Poll for 2019, 2021 and 2023. And we're going to use this data to get a global overview of weather risk perception and preparedness, so around the world, looking both at those factors that predict risk perception and preparedness globally, so factors that are consistent across different countries, but also those factors that might be specific to certain countries or certain types of country. We're going to select an indicative subset of 4 to 5 countries, reflecting areas that have different climate profiles, different risk governance structures, different levels of economic development, and we're going to develop and test early warning communication strategies in these countries to provide recommendations for national meteorological services and other organisations issuing weather warnings as to how to better communicate to improve weather risk preparedness. The ultimate goal of this project is to reduce harm from severe weather and climate events through better communication strategies that enable members of the public to take appropriate protective responses. Our aim is to provide recommendations, again, for national meteorological services, for other organisations that might be involved in weather warning and weather risk messaging dissemination. We want to give them some recommendations as to how they can improve their messaging to really maximise the benefits that their warnings have for public audiences. The World Risk Poll allows us to address questions with respect to the predictors of risk perception and preparedness that we wouldn't be able to do based on other data sources. So a big problem within the current literature on weather risk perception and preparedness is often we find that the results are quite inconsistent between different countries, and we're never sure whether this is due to the way that the questions have been asked or whether this just reflects differences between countries. So the World Risk Poll gives us this unique opportunity to be able to identify the factors that predict risk perception and preparedness at a global level, so those factors that are pretty much universal, as well as those that might be specific to certain countries, certain cultures, countries with certain climate profiles. So it allows us to gain insights that we could not have gained otherwise, and then to use these to develop better risk communication strategies. So we're very keen to talk to disaster risk reduction practitioners, whether they're in the public sector or in NGOs, as well as private organisations that might be impacted by severe weather. We'd also be keen to make contact with UN agencies that are involved in disaster risk reduction and preparedness, for instance, the World Health Organization and the World Bank. Those within intermediary organizations such as the media, so organizations relaying warning messaging from national meteorological services to the general public to really try and maximize the impact of our recommendations.